What's going on, everybody? This is Nick from House of Paint bringing you Balor. Balor is a huge demon. He's obviously chaotic evil. This is from the NOLZUR'S Marvelous Miniatures line. A very highly requested model, so I'm happy to be working on this on the channel as we ring in the new year 2022. As you can see, I have gone ahead and primed the entire model in black. If you go with the NOLZUR'S Balor, you will see that his sword is a clear piece, as is his fire whip. So those are both clear pieces that I've primed over because I think I can do a little bit more justice to them if I have a clean palette and not just a clear piece. So that's why I've done that. You obviously don't have to do that, but that is what I am going with. And before we get started, just a friendly reminder to smite like and slam subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the latest content that I'm putting out there in my quest to paint the manual. And without further ado, let's begin Balor. Starting off with a base coat on the flesh with a mix of heavy sienna and heavy red. Using a midtone of pure heavy red now, painting over about 90% of the flesh, leaving the base coat in only the deepest recesses. Now with a mix of bloody red and heavy red, I'll be applying some of the highlights to the upper portion of the muscles that are in the light. So I have a front-facing light here, kind of like facing the way that he's turning. So the right side of his body is going to be primarily highlighted, with the left side of his body, left side of his upper body, I should say, kind of in shade to provide some contrast. Differentiating on the membranes here with a mix of heavy skin tone and heavy red. Little orange fire in here as a base in his eye. Using the same orange fire to highlight around his eyes because I want to try to create the impression that his eyes are in fact glowing. A little dot of orange fire mixed with white to really make that eye appear like it's glowing. Some pure heavy skin tone on the lower third or so of the membranes. In on the flesh with a max highlight of orange fire and bloody red. Base coat inside the mouth with some orange fire to make it appear like he is about to breathe some fire. I'm going to start basing the bracers on his wrists as well as his ankles with a mix of heavy gray, heavy orange, and black. Adding some white to that mixture, I'm going to be applying highlights in the more rounded areas of the armor. Adding some even more white to that mix, I'm going to be putting the highlights in an even more concentrated area of the curves. Some heavy blue-gray on the chain links he's wrapped in. Heavy sienna as a base on his waistcloths. A dry brush of heavy gray on his horns. Get a base on his flaming whip with a mix of heavy red and heavy orange. Go over his teeth with a little bit of bone white. A smaller layer of orange fire on the flame whip. I'm also going to spread a little on the armor here to create some object source lighting. Moving more towards the center of the whip with a layer of sun yellow. And even more concentrated towards the center with a mix of sun yellow and white. A base coat of khaki on the skulls. Start basing his magic sword with a layer of Merfolk turquoise and heavy blue. Spread a thin layer over the left side of his flesh and face to, again, give some object source lighting. Now with pure Merfolk turquoise, I'm going to be going about 2/3 down the blade. While that's drying, I'm going to go over the cloths with a thin layer of khaki and heavy sienna. And finish that up with a dry brush of pure khaki. Now back to the sword. I've added some white to the Merfolk turquoise, and I'm concentrating this highlight towards the lightning extending from the blade as well as the center of the blade. While that settles, I'm going to base coat the base with a layer of heavy Bluegrey. Now with very thin layers of pure white, I'm going to be focusing a final highlight in the center of the blade and on the lightning protruding from the blade to really give that sense that this blade is glowing. Reinforce the Merfolk turquoise down towards the hilt to shore up the contrast. Now a mid-tone of khaki and bone white for the skull highlights. And pure bone white for the final highlights. Picking out some larger individual stones with some heavy brown. Of black wash over the entire base. Now that that's dry, I'm going to apply a dry brush of Stonewall gray. Adding a layer of sepia wash. Finishing it off with a dry brush of bone white. And there we have him, Balor. What a way to ring in 2022 with a screaming child in the background. So please, from my demons to yours, I wish you a very happy new year. Thank you for watching. Information on how to follow me on all my social media platforms is immediately following the video, as is information on how to follow Dominic Marriott of Credit UK and Mike Donnarummo of MVB Studios. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.